Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. The would-be judges and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, among the heathen nations that have the appearance of the heathen nations, and the few Akwaf that are listening and learning to you, I say Shalom. This is an impromptu message to the elect of Israel. All right, the rest of Israel doesn't matter on this side, and neither do any of you heathens matter at all. All right, so this is a message that I've been speaking. This is an impromptu. Heralds of Indignation has been on fire lately with information that he's been dropping. And there's one thing that I've often said, that, you know, Esau Edom uses false statistics and fraud on every matter. He does everything, and he rules with deceit and great injuries. He projects, he projects his wickedness. He projects his sins and his problems onto other people. The Israelis do it. The Edomites, who refer to themselves as Caucasian or white, they do it here in America. This is the way that they operate. Let's get a scripture. And this is how they cause themselves to be wealthy at the suffering mainly of the Israelites. All right. And all of you heathen, for that matter, have benefited from the suffering of the Israelites, which make up primarily the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. All right, but do not you can't forget that we were scattered among all people. So our people are among the heathen, many of them looking like the heathen. But this is First Maccabees 2:10, and it said, "What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?" And the main nation has been Esau Edom through his policy, all right, through him painting a picture of his innocence when the whole time he's the villain. While we all see, have seen how the fraud that surrounded October 7th about all these things that supposedly had happened unto the Israelis, it never happened. Babies were not killed, women were not raped. However, the evidence is surfaced that it was the opposite. I even saw a video the other day of Israelis chanting and cheering on how they rape and kill Palestinian women and children. All right, so like I said, they project. You always see these talk points, and they show you some immigrant with all her children, all their children, or some overweight, obese black woman with her multiple children from different men, which is also a result of policy enforced by Esau Edom. Whether they want to admit that or not, is their policy that destroyed the so-called black home, drove the man out, and gave the woman this false sense of security and false sense of freedom, to be that way. It was their policy that did that. All right. But this is Ecclesiastes 10:8, and it reads, "Because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another." So, wealth does not go away. It gets transferred. Or you put people in a position where they're forced to spend their money with you. All right. So all this welfare has benefited Caucasian people, so-called self-proclaimed, more than anyone else. They also will show you on television, every little YN running around with their mask on, with the shiesty on, committing crimes. And I've been telling you all along, the FBI statistics tell you a different story. All right. It tells you a different story as far as who's committing the crimes. So we're going to play some receipts, some evidences here. All right. Meanwhile, it's the so-called Negro for the most part, and the so-called Hispanic male that makes up the bulk of the people that are actually incarcerated, even though white males commit more crimes. And I've done so many videos where it shows you how the moment that Edomites commit horrendous and heinous crimes in society, within a day or two, there's a follow-up story that shows you brown faces. All right, continually and nonstop. Or they get some sort of T act, some sort of terror act or something to distract away from that. They keep, it was Bill Cosby, it was Tyson. Right now, it was Kanye. Right now, it's Diddy. Meanwhile, the Epstein list is being completely and totally ignored. All right, that has all these pale faces of prominent so-called white males, which they're making it illegal to even say that anymore. All right, well, they're tired of blackness, so they say. All right. But without any further ado, let the condemnation of truth play.
The lead murderers in America are white men. The lead robbers in America are white men. The largest amount of rapists are white men. The highest number of domestic abusers is white men. The highest number of arrested pedophiles is white men. The greatest number of drug dealers arrested is white men. But if you ask the average American who are the proponents of crime, is a black face to it.
Exactly.
They're now trying to create this narrative that the immigrants are bringing in the crime because they never want to own up to what it is that they have done. Part of our responsibility is to pull the sheets off.
The number one offender type is biological fathers, but by far it is being done by middle-aged Caucasian men. Many, over half of them, college graduates. Many of them are educated, good jobs. This isn't just who we're thinking about. Like, they're technical savvy, and I think that it is time that we call them out. Like, that we can't stand by and stand back. Like, we have to stand up and say, not only are we not doing our job as men, it's actually the opposite. Instead of being defenders and protectors of our families, we're hurting and abusing. Every red dot on that map is at least one unique IP address of individuals downloading, sharing, distributing child abuse and rape images under the age of 12.
Wow.
And there's over 111,000 of them just in the U.S. of the last 30 days. And I wanted to bring that because I think it brings to life so much of the evil that we're trying to face. And people will say, well, that's just over there and it's in those countries and it's all of those places. And it's not. Sean, it's right here in our backyard. It is right here.
The same people that President Trump are trying to protect. All right. And the trafficking of the children is happening here in America. And the world knows that this is the number one spot. Epstien.
And out of everyone, and some people will say they're just downloading and sharing it and distributing it, but they're not. 55 to 85% are also hands-on offenders, and your average offender has 13 victims in their lifetime.
Damn.
13 victims. Every one of those red dots there's a boy or girl that is suffering on the other end of what they're sharing, downloading, or distributing.
Donald Trump, under the second term, has cleared the record of every aggressive police officer's file. As of January 27, 2025.
See, the police force is full of racist white males. Fact. Undeniable fact. As a matter of fact, if you really wanted to take care of race problems in Chicago, and not just Chicago, but in America, just don't allow white males to be police officers. White men should not be allowed. From what they've done and what they continue to do, white males should not be allowed to be police officers. Everyone else but them. All right? Or maybe they could take on some other role within law enforcement, but definitely not street police officers. They shouldn't have. You would have so many less murders and shootings, and so there's just so much the relations with the public would be so much better if you just simply got rid of them. Fact.
Whatever the police in this country did has now been wiped clean. They're not being held accountable. Number two, yesterday, 24 hours from us sitting in this chair, Donald John Trump signed an executive order that deputized police to give arrests without warrants, that you can arrest civilians. We now have had in the last 3 weeks, you can be deported to El Salvador and still be a citizen, facing absolutely no charges.
The number one offender type is biological fathers, but by far it is being done by middle-aged Caucasian men. Many, over half of them, college graduates. Many of them are educated, good jobs. This isn't just who we're thinking about. Like, they're technical savvy, and I think that it is time that we call them out. Like, that we can't stand by and stand back. Like, we have to stand up and say, not only are we not doing our job as men, it's actually the opposite. Instead of being defenders and
Isaiah 42:22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes. They are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. So through the policy, the so-called brown men, all right, there's no such thing actually as black or white people, but brown men, both of the southern and northern kingdom, especially the southern kingdom, primarily make up the people who have been ensnared, through deceitful fraud, ensnared within a system that's designed to destroy them. All right. So now that we see who commits the majority of the crime here in America, all right, let's look at the people who bleed America dry financially. Here's another one that the brother put up concerning welfare recipients here in Babylon and around Babylon. Because remember, the Israelis are the biggest welfare recipients of America. And they're not even Americans, but America sends billions to them. I think like every 6 months. All right. And as of lately, they've been getting even more. It's ridiculous how much money goes to them. You actually could probably have fixed America, all its bridges, all its schools, and make the ghettos disappear. Cleaned up the drug problem, all that. Cleaned up Philly, L.A., what is it? What's the place they call the little ghetto part in something row, in Skid Row, in L.A.
Whites are the biggest group receiving food aid, and the United States spends more on food aid for whites than for any other racial group.
Well, maybe Cuccinelli would say he wants to get rid of the food stamp program anyway. So.
He might say that.
85% of welfare and food stamp moochers are white, live in southern red states, and vote for Republicans. Go figure. And those same Republicans are trying to take that away from you. And you voted for it. Can't blame the Democrats. This is what you voted for.
People frequently claim that immigrants and poor black families are living off the system. They're on welfare. They're mooching. But here is the truth.
And then at the same time he's doing that, he wants to deputize a bunch of racist Caucasians from southern racial white identity groups and also from South Africa to round up all these so-called brown, light brown, and dark brown people, deport them, etc., etc. That is the plan. That's your project 2025 right there.
The majority of people on public assistance in the United States of America are white, and most of them have jobs. They just don't make enough money to survive without a little bit more because wages are low, rent is high, a lot of jobs don't come with benefits anymore. You can't have a job without a cell phone. You can't even find a job without the internet. But it's not poor people who are eating up the most dollars in public assistance. Nope, it's the middle class. It's people who can take mortgage deductions, and of course, corporations cashing in on subsidies. But nobody calls that a handout. SNAP, Medicaid, housing assistance, those aren't loopholes to help billionaires save some more money and line their pockets so they can get more yachts or whatever they do with it. They're lifelines for millions of people.
So you see, Jacob is given for the spoil, all right? And it's actually ultimately it's the Lord who's punishing them. But the beautiful part of it is that Jacob's punishment is coming to an end, and it's falling on Esau Edom. That's why he's being exposed. Isaiah 42 and 23. Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Did not Yahweh, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. So it's beyond evident when you deal with the prophecies who the Israelites are and who's suffering here right now. Who's the first and who's the last? Who's the head and who's the tail? You can't be the head and then claim to be the victim. And that's what Esau Edom does. That's what the Amalekites do. That's what the Israelis do. All right? Like she said, there's a middle class and up that are benefiting from this. Yet the face of the problem are so-called, dark brown, light brown people.
And here's the kicker. Those programs keep all of us safer and more stable. If you're mad that someone's getting help, maybe just look at why they need it, not just who they are. Think about this. A friend of mine said he grew up in a third world country. And he said that in those countries, petty theft and, pickpocketing and crimes like that are common because people have to do that to get enough money to buy food and to pay for a place to stay. That's going to happen in our country if we don't get curious about where the waste in our government really exists.
Far worse is going to happen in this country. Talking about home invasions, completely social unrest and a breakdown of society. And it's being orchestrated, all right, by the same people who are receiving all these benefits. The orchestration of this destruction of your country is being done by your own people, all right, your millionaires and your billionaires, because they want you to be dependent upon them. They want to be godlike, all right, and they're being exposed. This is 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for the day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. See, the falling away was the Israelites falling away from their nationality. All right, then another people had to stand up and claim to be them. That's a discussion that happens every day now via the internet. Hence the reason why they want a Mission Impossible shut this damn internet down. Something else I've been saying for years now. There's too much evidence. There's too many receipts coming out. All right. It says, verse 4, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 4, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God or that is worship, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. That's why they fabricate all the relics you know, and all the imagery of the heavenly beings, the angels, you know, the Israelites, God himself. They're all painted to look like them. You know, they present themselves when they show you, even when they show you life out, they show you alien life or whatever. They always show you people that look, or things or entities that they look like. All right. When they know that the angels, the people piloting those crafts that they call UAPs and UFOs are 9 foot tall so-called black men with great big old afros and woolly hair. They know this, and often wearing the barrel, which is green. That's why they try to make them green men with big heads. Yeah, you see? They distort the image. All right? They're tall so-called black men with wearing green, and the big hair is the afro. That's where they get the big head from. All right? They're just exposed. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things? And now ye know what withholdeth, and that which might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And Esau Edom is being taken out of the way. All right? That's what's happening. So hiding behind all these false identities that they've created for themselves over the years, and the last one being Caucasian or white, you know, that there is no such thing. That's some shit they made up. All right. Remember, prior to 1681, there was no place in law and record. There was no such thing as white people. All right, that's like this newly created portion of humanity that they created for themselves to get away from their true name and nationality, which is Esau Edom. All right. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way, and that and then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and to destroy with the brightness of his coming. So with the spirit of his mouth is us, the mouth of the men of the Lord, the prophets, giving you all the receipts and the information, putting them on blast, bringing that shameful spewing upon their glory. And as they reach out to put their hands on us this time, see, they're not going to be able to do to us what they've done to us in the past. Here's the reason why we're still able to talk as long as we have been. I'm thoroughly convinced that that's the reason why Esau hasn't pulled the trigger and pulled the plug on this whole Israelite thing. All right? Because they know, the elites know. The everyday hater of us, they don't know. But the elites, they definitely know. So they've been hesitant. All right? But they're playing checkers, and the Lord is playing chess. All right? So, you know, it's written that some of us will be martyrs for this cause, for the Lord. But it's also written that the moment they put their hand on us, the Lord is going to lift up that standard, and they're going to be powerless against us when that time comes. That's why they're getting their super soldiers and their armies and all, you know, the weapons together. But none of that's going to help them. All right, Isaiah 54:17, when it tells you that no weapon formed against thee shall prosper. And when the Lord lifts up that standard, and he says we should be able to do everything that he did and greater, they're not going to be able to stop us, man. And remember, the Lord was able to bring back the dead. The Lord was able to teleport to different places. All right, we're talking about the entity that manipulated the elements that created life. And he said we're going to be able to do the things that he did and greater. So just take that into consideration. You're talking about the X-Men times 1,000. All right. And that's and the end goal is this right here. Revelation 18:6. They're going to get double of what we got. So everything that they did to us, they're going to get it back double. And this last prophecy, this is Revelation 13:9 and 10. And it reads, if any man hear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity, was it not these pale people that led us into captivity, shall go into captivity. Right? He that killeth with the sword, they kill us with the sword all the day long, especially via their police departments, and they put the guns in the neighborhoods and give them to these YNs and create the false beefs. They wear the prosthetic mask, and they go commit crimes on camera And then people, and then when they show it to you, they're showing you brown men. You pull the mask off, it's really a pale man. Yeah, don't think that it ain't real. They do that too. They arm the ops. Okay, so they orchestrate all this death. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. The patience, the saints are patiently suffering, patiently waiting to put into captivity those that put us into captivity, and put to the sword those who put us to the sword daily. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Al Shai Bahasham Rakah Wadash Kwam Yasarala Abad Babal.